Alright, let me do a couple of my dailies before we go straight into it. So that some people were already doing the, what do you call it? Kiseki's Miracle Showtime or whatever. I do not want to use this Taiki. I'll just go over that. There's some Paku Life. Well, there's only one Paku Life thing I want to go over. Not really going to talk about the New Year's Umas for the Japanese server. Man, I would not want to... I'd feel so bad if I made content on the Japanese side, because I feel like with Foresight, like, my job of rating stuff is significant. Because I was going through all of the Umas for MANT, right? I don't remember how many they're released. And... like, I can't imagine rating the Uma without knowing, like, if it truly is good or not. Maybe I'm just a bad meta slave. I got second! What? Is it over for people with no Suzu or Ojimaro? Yeah, I mean, if you don't, like, it feels really bad, I think, for the next CM, if you don't have Ojimaro, Taiki, or Suzu. Like, I feel like if you have one of the three, like... yeah, I don't know how I lost to that air group. What? I feel like if you don't have one of those three, like, it feels pretty weak. I think Ojimaro and Taiki are scarier. Well, given that people who run Taiki are actually running two fronts with her. Yeah, Suzu I don't think will be that big of a problem. Like, I don't think the general, like, CM is going to be, like, you know, S plus Suzus. I think the main issue is if you get hit by Suzu and double front, like, it's kind of rough. Yeah, I think the rematch meta has evolved where it's, like, so boring for me to even test in the room matches, because it's literally just all the front players, like, saying, oh, everything sucks, only fronts reign supreme. And it's like, there's, you know, if I ever go into a room, it's just the other two opponents are just going to be running fronts, and it just stuffs out every single other position. But I think it's really unlikely that, like, every single match you face in the actual CM is just going to be loaded with two triple front players. But yeah, rematches I think are just, like, kind of just a front, like, it's only just people playing fronts testing. I think, like, if you actually want, I don't know, because it's based on your own read, right, of the meta, like, maybe they do actually just, maybe everybody in global just suddenly wants to run front runners and every single comp is triple fronts. But, like, it's really hard to test, like, in the actual, like, in, like, searching random rooms, when people who create the rooms are the people running triple fronts. And, like, everyone who constantly wants to test their Umas are running triple fronts. Yeah, like, you're running triple eight. Surely one of the other two players will bring a late surger. Yeah, like, if one other person brings a late or an end, or, like, one dominator or one nice nature debuffer, like, you finally have access to 6th place. But right now, like, as a late surger, if both your opponents are running double front, every other position just gets snuffed out. Yeah, I don't really like triple pace. I think that's... unless you're, like, just want to do triple pace and gamble on no stopping me, like, I think. Because I'm running one late. I think I'm doing late double pace. I'm gonna bring a Dominator until Christmas Ogre comes out at least. But yeah, like, I think triple pace is really rough. I don't think I've ever had a CM where every single, like, not even like 80% of my, not 80%, sorry. No, out of 80 races for the past 2 mediums, like, there was not 2 nice natures in every lobby. Maybe I just got extremely lucky for those 40 rooms that I didn't face double nice natures from my opponents, but I think it's also weird to, like, assume that every room will always hit double mystifying murmurs or double red golds. I think, I don't know, I feel like it's the quote-unquote competitive aspect of this game just has evolved in such a weird way compared to like when I played. So I'm just, maybe it's just because we don't have that much options. But I think, like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain, like, exactly what I'm trying to say. I think it's just evolved in such a strange way. Yeah, I think the runaway I think definitely like ruined this CM. Because one runaway was introduced. I'll go over it once I go over Medro Palmer. But yeah, runaway I think has evolved our meta in a way that is very weird, especially when like people are overestimating like how room matches are compared to the actual CM. Alright, let me, I think I've killed enough time. Time to mute the game. Suzu, I think, is really bad for the game. I know Kiseki's showtime started today. The main thing is that, like, you just have to do the races against, like, a quote-unquote higher difficulty. I wouldn't really recommend, I would recommend just, like, trying to grind this out on, like, Bakshin or something. Or just, like, someone who has an easy career. Though, like, the lower difficulties, I think you can just get away with just doing, like, normal runs. Obviously, if you don't have time, it's a little awkward to try to do it, like, on an ace run. Especially if you, like, fail it, because not only did you fail an ace run, you also, you know, failed to clear the event, so you just, like, wasted your time. But maybe you don't have enough time. The amount of races that you have to do, or the amount of careers you have to complete, is a minimum of 17, assuming that you speed unlock level 5 and only do level 5 races, or level 5 careers. And I've already done like a small write-up totaling everything, right? It's 110 pull, 2 SSR fragments, 2 SR fragments, 600k, and 300k. So, I don't know, it depends on how much time you have. Like, I personally am just gonna... Yeah, you could also, like, not do difficulty 5, and, like, just do ace runs on, like, 3 or 4. I think I'm personally just gonna do Haru runs on difficulty level 5 and just grind out the 13 attempts on it. But you could, yeah, just do the slightly lower difficulties. Like, I'm pretty sure you can do an ace run on level 3. Level 4 is a little awkward, because they'll have great mood. You might have to burn some clocks if you're like fighting against Bitter and I forgot their names. Coco. Bitter Coco. Because they'll be on great mood. And sometimes, you know, they have the like some gambly excels that sometimes hurts. You're only running 3 ace runs with Barrows. It's worth trying to push to get everything. I think the main thing, because the issue is that like how the event works is at the end of the run, you have, you know, a 1 in 70 or 1 in whatever many. It randomly picks what you get from the hat, and you really want, you know, the 10 pull and the crystal shards. I think everything else you can kind of ignore. But because you can't pick and choose what you get from the reward, like you might have to do. The reason why I put in 17 attempts is because maybe like your last one is that rainbow crystal shard, which is a pretty valuable resource. If you hit these ones early, you can probably get away with just not doing the event anymore, because it's just money, you know, supporter points, friends points, these team trial things. But I would really recommend trying to get these rewards, right? Once you finish the event, you can continue doing the event for like random rewards. They're not really worth it. Like I think once you get the main rewards from the event, there's like no point in. I guess you could do like level 3 just so you can get a couple extra points or a couple extra rewards, but I don't think it's necessary. How long does the event last for? It's until the 4th, right? So it lasts 10 days? You have 10 days to do all this? Alright. That's everything on the Showtime. I think it's not really that fun of an event. Like, it's just a higher difficulty. What was interesting was yesterday there was a Paku live for the Japanese server. So, like, they were announcing all the New Year stuff, which I won't go over because I'm not a Japanese content creator. Like, I'm not going to do too much on the Japanese server side of things. But they did announce their CM race for March, which is a 2200 meter, so the medium race, on an undisclosed location, which leads a lot of people to believe that it's going to be an overseas race, like it's going to be a race not in Japan. And the only ones that like kind of fulfill this criteria are the Queensland's Oaks in Australia, the Shatin in Hong Kong, and then there's 2 in the US, Man of War stakes and the United Nations stakes. So I just wanted to bring that up because I thought it was really interesting that they're doing a CM. There's potentially doing a CM that's not in Japan. I don't know when, probably next month they'll probably release more information about it. But that was really interesting when I was watching like a few clips from the Paku live. Yeah, I personally, out of the 4 that I showed, I think it's either Australia or Hong Kong. I think it's pretty likely that it's Australia, but I don't think we'll know until then. Yeah, Hong Kong does make sense. That's why I wanted to bring up Hong Kong, because of Stay Gold's release. But Australia is also pretty popular. I really don't think it's going to be in the US, but I wanted to bring it up because obviously, you know, might as well bring up the most of the 2200s that I know off the top of my head. But I do like Australia more. I think it'd be cool if it was the Queensland's Oaks. Okay, we'll go into the review. So I won't be actually updating the sheet live. I have all... It actually took me a decent chunk of time to do a write-up, because I didn't want to like do this and then realize that I missed something, so I already pre-writ most of it. So after this stream, I'll just, on my own time, start adding in the notes. But we'll go ahead and just start off with Medjiro Bright. We have Tamamo Cross here because I'm going to bring her up later. So Medjiro Bright has a 14% stam, 8% guts, 8% wits. She has medium long A and a mile C. And then she's a late surger or an end closer. I think on release, she's going to be more so a end closer for long tracks. Her kit, or her unique, her unique increases speed, lasting longer the more HP that she has at the 50% rate. So it starts with 5 seconds, and then the duration scales with the current HP. It's not a percentage of your current HP, it's like the value of your HP. So generally this pushes her into long tracks, because long tracks, usually training your stamina higher is a lot worse to try to increase your current HP compared to just the flat amount you get based on the track length. So generally for races that are 3,000 meters or longer, so the Kikuwa Show and the Tenno Show Spring, this lasts from the 50% mark, which is the instant that it can activate, all the way to the start of the late race. So like on average, as long as you have like 1,000, like somewhere between about 1,000 or more stamina, especially if you bought her recoveries, you'll have enough HP for this to give you speed carryover, or last the entire duration from when it can proc to the start of the late race. However, this speed only gives 0.15, which is like really weak for a mid-race speed card, or sorry, a speed skill. On the Tennosho Spring, for example, Tamamo Cross is really strong because she also gets speed carryover with her unique. And this one is a 0.35 as opposed to the 0.15. Another issue with like a 0.15 is that sometimes if you don't proc another skill, like if this is your only skill that is activated on the corner in the mid race, sometimes it's not enough speed because you could low roll like your wit check, and the person in front of you could slightly high roll their wit check, and this target speed isn't even enough to overtake somebody on the corner, so it might just lock you out. I think on medium tracks, she's also just not that strong, since like medium tracks and closers aren't that strong, so it's really hard to be 7th, which pushes her into late surger, which is pretty weak in general as a position. And then the final thing is that even if like this skill will give you speed carryover, but because the target speed increase is so short, like you might get half a length worth of speed carryover, which is like, in terms of like being able to accelerate at a higher timing, it's like half a length compared to Crosses on the Tennosho Spring. She gets like somewhere between a length and a half to 2 lengths, depending on if it activates right away or not. Her skills are 2 recovery skills, her awakening skills or potential skills. She has Indomitable Heart, which on long tracks activates consistently enough. Like, it's pretty unlikely that someone doesn't overtake you during the middle leg on a long track. The shorter the distance, the less likely that this is going to happen, because you have like more mid-race, and just like you have less time for it to activate. And then she also has Self-Possessed, which is a kind of awkward recovery skill, because it decreases your current speed, but this is also during pace down, so it's not like the worst skill to have. And by taking that current speed decrease, that only lasts 1.2 seconds, or I guess it would be 4 seconds on the Tennosho Spring, you do get a 7.5% stamina recovery. They never print this on anything, like it's on Cafe card, and it's also just on Meijiro Bright. And then you have to be 7th or 4th, which kind of ruins it for end closers, right? Like you could get unlucky if you're trying to run her on end closer and get hit by, being bottom 2 and not being able to proc this, which puts her in a really weird spot. Her Evo skills, she only has 2, like there's no changing of them, so only during long tracks. This one just gets 2% more stamina recovery, and this one gets 2% more stamina recovery. So it gives her, an innate 17% recovery for when the Evo skills come out. But I think that just doesn't make her strong enough to be like quote unquote meta. Like the only thing she has over Tamamo Cross for the, let me pull it up. So the first race in MANT is it's not the Tennosho Spring, but it is a 3200. So the only advantage that Meijiro Bright has over Cross in this first one is the fact that she has a Mile C, so you can up her Mile with 2 Mile Grandparents in order to do a more race-heavy deck compared to Cross's Mile E, which makes her being built in MANT a little bit harder. So maybe she can be stronger depending on how strong your deck is and like how you play out MANT for this one race. Otherwise, she's just not that strong. Like she's so. Like I think she's probably a better choice than someone like Goldship if you're able to build her correctly. but definitely won't be a meta staple in MANT, considering that there's only realistically one long track. Like, this is the only track that she can somewhat shine in, and I think, like, she's not so much stronger than Gold Ship, or Cross for that matter, that it would shake up the meta. Mainly because... Also, another thing is that, like, this isn't even enough target speed to overtake a Gold Ship, so even though you do get that speed carryover, like, if a Gold Ship procs are unique, you're not overtaking that Gold Ship. So it's like, she's just so-so. Is it true that MANT runs can take an hour? You can cut it down to like 45 minutes. I mean, it can take an hour if you like don't know what you're doing. I think like on like if it goes like 45. I don't think you can get under 45 minutes unless they release the super skip quality of life during MANT. Like I think on like our current skipping animation speed, I don't think you'll ever get below 45 minutes, but you can probably on average do 45 minutes if you're like locked in. But yeah, it can take like an hour. Yeah, I mean, it just depends on how fast you generally play the game. Like I can get through a career in like 20 minutes, right? But some people state that it takes like half an hour to get through a career. That's everything on Measure Bright. Like I don't think she's not that weak. Like I'd probably put her like B+ tier, but she's not that strong. Like, I don't think she's going to be meta-defining. Like how... She's not going to be S tier on any track, essentially. Next up, we have Saiyan Sky. So on release, I'm pretty sure Saiyan Sky is actually really weak. Especially when you consider Kitasen Black. Like, she's very similar to Kitasen Black's original, which I already did a review on. Where both Kitasen Black original and Saiyan Sky are like the quote-unquote long track front runners, but Ballroom on release has a weaker unique. So here it says that it increases acceleration by 0.2, but this was updated at the 2nd year anniversary, and it says increased effect size. I'm pretty sure on release this acceleration was 0.1. I don't have like a full source, right? I haven't found any. Well, in like my short time of searching, I couldn't find like an actual source that this was originally 0.1. But I'm pretty sure it just went from 0.1 to 0.2, which is a lot stronger when it's 0.2. So I think on release, she's not going to be that strong. But her unique skill increases your speed on the final leg straight. Originally as well, I believe. So actually, that might be another thing that got changed. I don't know if on release this was on the... I think on release, this was also a final leg skill and not on any straight, which like on long tracks, the final straight is a lot farther. Like you start on the third or the third straight. The straight before the final straight is when the late race starts on most long tracks, which I think is also another issue with it. I think that got changed. That might have got changed. I might be going off of the old data mine stuff. I don't remember, but on release, Save Sky Ballroom's unique was not as good as people say it is, like, when it got buffed, right? This also activates only in the late race, so it is an instant trigger if you're top 2. Yeah, like, I obviously can't tell if it's going to be released with these conditions, because these conditions are very favorable. The straight front 2 type means that, like, when the race curves around, like, so the first straight when you exit the gate is the side of the audience, and when you go through 2 corners or 4 corners and enter that last straight, that is the straight on the opposite side, and that's when you get that excel. So it's usually only long tracks. But even then, like, this is still somewhat better than the original Saiyan Sky on long tracks, right? Because Saiyan Sky's unique is delayed usually by like 100 meters, like 50 to 100 meters. But on release, she is significantly worse than Kitasen Black original. So you don't have to pull her right away unless they release the buff version. Then it's like, okay, if you're playing front runners for long tracks, maybe you need this excel. Maybe you need this excel. And then obviously you can't really. Well, she has zero compatibility with herself, so inheriting her unique for shorter tracks is a lot harder. So even if you wanted a Saiyan Sky with final leg race or final straight target speed increase, it's really hard to get angling and scheming for those mediums in mile tracks. She comes with Escape Artist, which is a somewhat strong skill. Does get actually, yeah. I think Escape Artist is just always a good skill to have, especially if you can hit book it. And she comes with Top Runner. Top Runner is a very, very strong race. Like, this is another reason why the Marzensky speed card is praised so much, because this allows you to increase your target speed during the mid-race or the early race when you are being challenged for first place. And it's a pretty strong effect for a gold skill. It's kind of a detriment because you would really want to run Summer or the Marzensky speed card, and having two of your things go onto it kind of sucks, but you can at least discount it with Marzensky, and like maybe it's in case like you don't finish her chain, you can also still get Top Runner, which is just a strong runner skill. It gets printed on another good card, Daiwa Scarlet Wit, like way later on. Her Evo skills just give her stamina recovery, or you can increase the effect of Escape Artist by 0.1. Usually on long tracks, like 2 or 3% stamina recovery could let you like drop a gold into like a white and these two. So it's not like the worst thing, but it's not the strongest evolution skills. It's gold Leader's Pride. Yeah, it's the gold version of Leader's Pride. The first instance is Saiyan Sky, but we know that it's going to get printed on Marzensky, and Marzensky is just a staple in frontrunner decks. So it's not like that big of a benefit, but Top Runner is very strong, and it's just on a very strong card. So unless they buff her unique to where you get 0.2 acceleration instead of 0.1, and it works on any straight rather than the final straight, which I believe is how it worked on release, I don't think she's that strong. Like, she's completely inferior to OG Kitasen Black. Once this gets updated, you kind of want both, because you would either run Saiyan Sky Ballroom and inherit Kitasen Black, or you would run Kitasen Black and inherit this one, because that would increase your acceleration to, I believe, 0.3. I think Kitasen Black is also another hybrid. Yes. Actually, it might be better if it's Kitasen Black inheriting Saiyan Sky, so that she has 0.4 acceleration on the final straight. Or actually, I think it's 0.37, because I think inheriting it from 0.2 goes down to like 0.07. But Kitasen Black kind of overshadows her. Kitasen Black also has that Mile C, so a lot easier to run in MANT. Actually, what am I saying? Saiyan Sky also has Mile C. Her growth rates also has 14% guts, which isn't the worst, right? Like, usually you can fulfill like 3 stats to 1200 in MANT, so bonuses aren't that important, but 14% in guts kind of might make you lose a run. But yeah, once this update comes out for her unique, or if it comes out on release, she's a lot stronger. So it's up to, if we get information that for some, like, we get Eva skills in the 2nd anniversary update on MANT's release, then I think she's a good pickup. Otherwise, you can just wait. That's Saiyan Sky. On the same banner with Saiyan Sky is Kiseki Ballroom. I actually really like Kiseki Ballroom. Kiseki Ballroom is a mile runner who... she's a mile pace chaser. Not a... I said runner, but like not in the position. But she's a mile pace chaser, has 8% speed, 14% power, 8% wit. You think Mile... No, yeah, Mile C is copable. you need 4 stars. You need 2 grandparents that total 4 stars in miles. Obviously, like, you'll lose, what, 5% of your runs to not hitting, like, your distance S. But if you don't have mile C or higher, I think it's a lot harder. Like, I think mile C is, like, the minimum for running, like, a very race bonus heavy deck. Yeah, no, she is a mile runner. Like, this is, her kit straight up screams mile runner. She's a mile pace chaser. Her unique works on the final corner. If you overtake someone during it, your speed will increase. So, most of the miles, Pace Chaser's whole game plan is to proc as much target speed increase as they can during the final corner, right before that late race, in order to be able to accelerate at a higher top speed. So you can imagine that, as soon as you're about to overtake somebody, which you should be overtaking people because you're trying to proc all your skills on that final corner before the late race starts, before you have to start accelerating. So you already have access to 0.45 target speed increase. On release, she has a dead awakening skill. Ignore Captivating Trick. This is a front runner debuffer skill that debuffs one person behind you who rushed. Very bad skill. But her other skill is Speed Star, and Speed Star is Fine Motion skill, and this is very strong if you can activate it in the final corner before the late race and not in the final corner at the late race. But this is another 0.35. If you activate this into your unique, like, you enter with 0.75, which is already like 3 to 4 meters or 3 to 4 lengths worth of acceleration right away. She also has access to head-on in her potentials, which is a really good skill to discount with hint books. She has access to mile corners in her innate skills. And then, I believe this is Speed Star's white. But she has mile corners, head-to-head, Speed Star. Ignore that she has Captivating Trick. Also, ignore that she has a Shrewd Step. Is that what this is called? Shrewd Step. But mile corners, head-to-head, and Speed Star are very strong on mile tracks for Pace Chasers. When you get Evo skills unlocked, you can turn Captivating Trick into a random final corner skill that gives you another 0.45, which is extremely strong, right? Like, this is another corner skill, so now she has 3 corner skills, and then you can upgrade Speed Star to give you another 0.1. So if you add all her final corner stuff together, that's 0.45 here, 0.45 here, and then 0.45 in her unique. So she can enter the final leg with an additional, what is 45 times 3? Like 1.9 target speed, which is an insane amount of acceleration. Like, if you imagine a perfect proc acceleration skill is 0.4, right? Like, if your unique is an acceleration skill, you get 0.4 meters per second squared. If you enter the final corner with an instant 1.85 meters per second, like, you skip a lot of acceleration. It's about to accelerate that much. Yeah, before the late race, like, generally you run around 20 meters per second, and if you have max speed, you cap out at 24.5 around. So you have 5 meters per second that you need to accelerate through, right? But if you enter the final corner and you shave off half of the acceleration that you need to hit, so, like, imagine, and somebody is starting their acceleration at this marker right here, right? Like, they have 2 meters on you before having to accelerate. They have to accelerate 2 meters less. Like, that's an insane amount of acceleration that they just cut out. Can you accelerate to that target speed? Oh, can you accelerate to that target speed before the late race? If you proc everything, you should be able to, especially with her growth rates on power, 14% power. You do have to value power a little bit more, but you get like, what is it? I think it's about 100 meters. Like, if you proc at the start of the final corner. Obviously, if you proc, like, the only issue is obviously if you don't proc in the first half of the final corner. I think this is a really bad track to demonstrate it on, right? So you have like a 60% chance to activate it. Like if we go to the Tokyo 1800 or the 1600, the corner gets further pushed back. I think the Tokyo 1600 is more common to hit. But if you can hit it like within this 50% sweet zone, generally, yes, you can accelerate to it. You're not realistically using it as mid-race, but you're essentially pushing back the acceleration zone by 100-ish meters or so. Obviously, it's kind of a pipe dream to hit all three, accelerate to that 0.9, but like the potential of it is just so much stronger. And that's generally your game plan. Obviously, you can also get, shooting for victory, and then I'll also talk about Nishino Flower, who's coming up next for another mile and sprint pace chaser acceleration. So it's maybe me saying 1.85 meters per second before the late race is like most likely you'll just go in with like 1 meters per second. Like on average, you probably hit like 1 meters per second because it's guaranteed that you activate your unique if one of your other two skills proc. So on average, you probably enter with 1 and not 1.85, but that's the ceiling of how it works. That's Kiseki Ballroom. Just a very strong mile pace chaser. Obviously, like you're trying to inherit Taiki Shuttle and Nishino Flower, who's coming up on certain mile races for that acceleration. You can also, you're also gambling on head on for that chance, to also accelerate. So Nishino Flower gives you accelerate. I don't really want to go through her stats. She's not that great as an ace. 15% speed, 15% power. She's a sprint mile racer, and she should be running as pace chaser if you're running her as an ace. But she carries like these. She's in a similar situation with Saiyan Sky, like her counterpart, where somebody's kit who's inheriting their unique is just going to be stronger than them running it itself because their kit is just slightly weaker in order to fulfill the conditions. Obviously, like, if you're against jobbers, I guess, like, Saiyan Sky can still work. Like, if there's just no good front runners, you could probably still get away with Saiyan Sky. But I think also with, like, the introduction of Runaway, Saiyan Sky is really hard to use because her unique, requires her to be first place and she has no access to anything else to try to beat out like a Runaway to first, or what was supposed to be bullying Saiyan Skies, the S-Marus and the Smart Falcons, but apparently nobody's taking the lead in groundworks, so if you had those on your Saiyan, you could have just ran away with it. Her unique's kind of long. It increases Excel in the final leg after the middle point of the last corner, so the exact same conditions as Taiki Shuttle, but because it has the phase is greater than or equal to 2, it means that it cannot activate too early. So as long as the later half of the final corner clips into the late race like it does for the 1600, like on the 1600, Taiki Shuttles inherit would effectively do nothing because it would proc here and then die out before the final leg. Nishino Flower instead has a condition where it has to activate. The soonest it can activate is 1067, right? Because it's locked to only the final leg. You have to be third or fourth, and then the precondition is that you had to be blocked by the side during the mid race on a straight, which should be really easy to fulfill. I mean, you can almost guarantee it if you're running like 2 pace chasers. Unless one pace chaser is just so much stronger than your other one that you can't fulfill the condition of being like side by side by somebody during the mid race. Generally, like if your pace chaser is overtaking somebody, or if you're getting overtaken, you'll fulfill this condition. It can work on a lot of sprints. Not a lot of sprints. It can work on some sprints, sorry, where the corner clips into the late race. I don't think it can work on the Tokyo one. What's a sprint that this can work on? so I don't sound stupid. Yeah, okay, so like the Nakayama 1200, which is a CM in Grand Live, I believe. Or it might be the CM right before Grand Live. Yeah, I think it's the CM right before Grand Live. It would work. It looks like Taiki's would also work here for Pace Chasers. So on some sprints, not a lot of sprints, like it can work on. I think like our sprint CM coming up soon, the Chuko, I think doesn't have a corner, right? Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think the Shino Flower wouldn't release by then, but it wouldn't work on this CM either because there's no corner in the late race. But on the Nakayama, the race course that the Arima Keenan is on, it would work for. It's pretty vital for playing pace. Yeah, I think like I think you would want both Nishino Flower and Taiki Shuttle. If anything, you would want Nishino Flower over Taiki Shuttle, right? Because this one is locked to the late race. Like, I mean, the example was the Tokyo 1600, not the Tokyo one. Sorry, what was our mild CM again? The Hanshin 1600, right? If we were in the Hanshin 1600, Pace Chasers would have had a unique acceleration that would have worked on this mile CM instead of it being a CM where the only Pace Chaser that could viably work was Taiki Shuttle because she could use like the last second of it. So I think it's pretty apparent that you would want this on a Pace Chaser. I'll go through the rest of her kit. She has Beeline Burst. Like, Beeline Burst is kind of... it's not that strong. She has straight downhill something something. The gold skill like increases acceleration on a downhill, which is like I can't even remember how many tracks this works on, but it is very unlikely that like you could utilize this. I think our last long track, Determined Descent, yes, that one. I think there was like one track that I worked on, right? Cause I remember Rice Shower used it. It was the mile, I believe. Actually, was it the 1600 mile? I mean, like it's just gambling. Like this downhill was too long. I think I lost to one Rice Shower that hit a Determined Descent in room matches. But like it's just not that strong of a skill because of how unlikely it is that you hit the Determined Descent in like this 100-meter window. Like the Wind can get buffed to be a stamina recovery, which is like not that good. Like in body or Beeline Burst is just not a good skill. Or it can be increase the target speed that you can get, and then you can get 0.4 acceleration instead of 0.3 from Determined Descent as your other evo. She's just stuck as a parent. For mostly for short sprints. Like most of the time you want to pick her up for sprint CMs. This next one sucks because there's like no viable inherits or no inherits that like generally work. But for the next sprint for the Nakayama, like you would want this, right? Because it's as long as you're third or fourth on the sprint, you get 0.2 acceleration. Yeah, she got parent jailed. Just like Saiyan Sky, she's just kind of parent jailed. Just too weak of a kit. But yeah, for this CM specifically, at the end of MANT, like, I mean, you could just borrow it, right? There's Halloween Creek and Pasa. Yeah, I mean, I guess. But it's just like, because they're both, like, 0.1 acceleration just isn't that strong. Like, I mean, I guess it's quote-unquote consistent, right? Because Pace Chasers can use Halloween Creek, Frontrunners can use Pasa. But it's just like, how much is 0.1 acceleration realistically winning you on a sprint? right? Like if somebody hit like, I mean, it could edge out if nobody hits Rushing Gale, nobody hits Turbo Sprint, nobody hits Plan X, and nobody hits, is it those three? Turbo Sprint, Rushing Gale, Plan X. I feel like there's one that I'm missing. I guess you could do Encroaching Shadow, right, on a sprint. I don't know. I mean, you can kind of do a Taishin, but like enclosures are rough. Blinding Flash. Maybe, yeah. I think Blinding Flash is the one I was thinking of. But it's like 0.1 acceleration just isn't strong enough without like another Excel hitting. So it could edge out wins if all 9 Umas, assuming that they're running like Rushing Gale, Turbo Sprint, things like that, are gonna miss their procs. Because they're all gambling at the end of the day. So yeah, like on definitely on the Nakayama sprint, like you can think of Nishino Flower as one of your win conditions for the 0.2. Obviously on a sprint where it's so RNG, like 4th to 3rd is kind of awkward to try to hit, but I think it's worth going for. Oh, I also forgot that it has the 2nd edition. I think this got added later, where it can also activate before the final corner started. So like, for example, CM7, how Taiki's Shuttle's unique procs 20 meters after it. Nishino Flowers could have activated right away because of the alternate condition. But I don't know if she got released with this. This one, I can't remember. But like, if you imagine Taiki's Shuttle's unique on the next CM, this one would be able to proc as soon as the late race started, rather than having to wait it out. But I can't remember if she got released with this or not. Because I remember this condition. I don't remember this condition. On release. That's Nishino Flower. Like, she's just got... she's just kind of parent jailed. Kind of wish I had a lighter highlight for the Saiyan Sky, because I really don't want people to pull on it unless... I guess... but then if I tell people to like not plan around it, and then she gets released with her buffed version, it's kind of awkward. Yeah, that's Nishino Flower. Next up, we have Muteki. So Muteki has 20% power, 10% guts. She's generally a mile medium runner. I mean, I guess you can make her run on longs, but I don't think her kit really suits longs. She can run actually both as betweener and late surger, due to her kit being medium locked and being it's on. So what am I trying to say? So like, she's not locked into Pace Chaser or Late Surger, but one of her skills only works on mediums. However, this is unyielding. Unyielding sucks. But we'll get to that later. Her unique increases... Her unique gives speed at the last 300 meters as long as you overtook someone during the final corner. And then you have to be top 4 in the last 300 meters, but if you weren't top 4 at the last 300 meters, you're most likely going to lose anyways, right? Like, hopefully at the 300 meter mark, top 4 if you're trying to win. It should activate pretty consistently. Like, I think you're also losing if you haven't overtaken someone at all, because this can also... Actually, it should just activate anyways, because it can be after the final corner as well. Like, this should activate almost every single time, assuming that you're top 4, because it can... So she has... I mean, I guess she has pace corners in her innate, but like, that's not... Like, I think she can be ran as late surger if you don't have the necessary skills to try to do like speed carryover on a mile. She has It's On, which right now doesn't seem that important, right? Because we can get it from Aharu, but once we're out of that scenario, It's on is a little bit harder to get access to. Like, you're not running these cards. You're never running any of these cards. So, like, her and Summer Special Week get It's On. It's On isn't that strong right now, right? Because like all the other mid-range skills kind of got buffed, or at least a decent amount of mid-range skills got buffed, where you don't realistically have to rely on It's On, but it is a gold skill, so I mean it's usable. Unyielding sucks. Actually, so like the fact that the conditions is that somebody behind you is faster than you in order to get it is just such a weird condition to fulfill. Like, sure, maybe you can win a race, because you get that 0.1 acceleration. But the issue is that, like, a lot of times on the medium corners, this target speed increase, unless it's someone behind you unless this activates during, right before the late race. But even then, like, it might cut too closely. I don't know. I think the conditions are just too unrealistic for it to actually affect anything. Because you need someone behind you that's faster, and it needs to not activate in the late race. It has to activate before the late race. Someone has to have an insane amount of speed carryover behind you in order for this. Well, not insane amount of speed carryover, but you're relying on the person behind you proccing speed carryover for you to effectively use this. Otherwise, if it activates in the late race, you completely lose access to the target speed, and you're buying a gold skill for 0.1 acceleration. It requires an actual overtake. No, unyielding has on like our server right now is, oh yeah, actually unyielding right now you have to be passed. Wait. Sorry, this skill is so bad, like I never consider it. Yes, right now you have to actively be passed. When it gets updated, like even then, I think it's still like inconsistent. Like the fact that the person behind you for 2 seconds has to be faster than you. But yes, on release, somebody has to pass you in order for this to work. Her Evo skills, she gets an increased second to It's On. So it goes from 3 seconds to 4 seconds. Target speed stays the same. Unyielding gets evolved. One evolution is to get more target speed when you're being when someone's trying to overtake you, which usually isn't the one that you're trying to evolve. Usually you grab the other version, Ardent Desire, because this condition changes to if you overtake somebody during the final corner, you get current speed increase, which means anytime during the final corner, this has value because it's instantaneous speed. You do not have to accelerate to this new speed. You kind of like, every time I talk about current speed, I just say that like you break physics and you just instantly get 0.35 to your acceleration, right? Because it's a straight jump. Like you don't have to accelerate to that new top speed. So this skill is pretty good. Like I think her evos like actually make her usable. I'm pretty sure like the only times I see Muteki is on Dirt Miles. She has Dirt E, which means that you need 10 sparks of dirt, right, to go from E to A. I don't really see her on Miles and Mediums. She just doesn't have enough in her kit to be like, the top choice. But also on dirt tracks, I usually see her lose to Ogre because Ogre doesn't need to. I mean, Ogre is just more common. But I think she has like a fine kit. Like she's like A tier. Once Evos come out, I think pre-Evos like, It's On isn't that strong. Just because the duration is so short. Oh wait, It's On goes from 1.8 to 4 seconds. Wait, I thought It's On was 3 seconds. Wait, that's actually way better. It doubles in duration. Yeah, Evos make her a lot more viable. But I still don't think she's like a meta choice. But like she on certain tracks, well, not certain tracks, but I think she is not like F tier, right? Once these Eva skills come out, like she actually gets pretty strong evolutions. Some people just I mean, we went over like Midgeo Brights, who just gets more stamina recovery, whereas Muteki gets instantaneous speed and double the duration of its on. Like some people just get favored for evolution skills. So not really meta, but honestly, like I don't think you would be mad if you like got spooked by this and you want to try to run her for a CM. She's not that weak. Once Evo skills come out, I'm gonna keep saying this. I think she's only good once Evo skills come out. All right. Oh, the next banner is the cheerleader banners. So first up, we have Nice Nature cheerleader. Nice Nature is I think she can only realistically be ran on medium tracks as a late surger. I think if you're not doing that, it's kind of crazy. I guess she could be ran on longs, right? Because she has no stopping me. But I think you would want to run her on medium tracks where, well, not like something like the next medium track where the corner clips in here, but like the Derby, for example. No stopping me is pretty consistent. What other medium tracks are there? Is there 2200 coming up soon? No. The Derby is pretty consistent. Like this is pretty consistent for no stopping me. And remember, once we're in MANT, the only access you have to no stopping me will be Bijin, right? Because it's a scenario like you're not gonna go to Araharu for no stopping me, so the only access is Bijin right now for it. So on release, she's not that bad. She has Mile C, pretty easy to, 2 Mile Sparks in your grandparents. You can up this to A. She has 10% stam, 10% power, 10% wit, which are pretty good stat bonuses for medium tracks. Like obviously no speed kind of sucks, but hopefully you have 2 speed cards, like 2 SSR speed cards if you're trying to make her work. Her unique is pretty long because she gets bonus duration if she's not popular, which I think is, as long as she's not top 3 in popularity, she gets 1 extra second of duration. But it's a unique skill that gives speed on the final straight, but you all have to be 6th through 4th place, which is like maybe like 30 to 40% of the time. Like you're too far for this unique to even matter, right? Like realistically on the final straight you would want to be like 4th place and in order to like fully effectively use this. But I don't think it's like so bad. Like it's not too inconsistent. It's just sometimes you'll probably see her unique proc and still lose because you procced it in like you were in 6th place, or you'll be in top 3 because like I don't know, you hit an instant no stopping me and now you suddenly don't have a unique. So it's just like the order rate is a little bit awkward on the last straight, but I don't think it's like terribly inconsistent. Like this, for example, would be a terrible time, right? Because in these last 300 meters, you don't really want to still be 4th place, especially if you hit like that instant no stopping me. But some tracks, like I don't know, some tracks like the Japan, the Derby, the Tokyo Derby. If you hit an instant no stopping me, and like there's still a chance that you can be 4th place because it's 500 meters of a straight rather than like 300, 400. And realistically, you would only bring Nice Nature to tracks where no stopping me works. Also, I think on long tracks, right, because you're gonna hit no stopping me, well, that's your win con. Like you most likely won't have access to this because there's like 700 meters before the final straight. So I think her unique is just super awkward, with the fact that like this last straight condition with also having to be 6th through 4th is just too awkward. And like most likely if you're building an ace, like there's a high chance that you lose out on this. Though I guess if somebody had like really high guts, maybe. She has Dominator, which is good, right? I think Dominator has always been strong, but it's on Grass Wonder and Tachyon, so it's not like you need you get two, well, quote unquote free Umas with it. You get two non 3 stars with Dominator. You're not running triple Dominator. It's like if you needed a Dominator, you don't need Nice Nature. And then obviously she has access to No Stopping Me, which in MANT is very strong because you don't need to borrow a Beijing. Beijing isn't the greatest card to borrow. But and by the time she releases, we'll be in MANT, right? Because we're going over all the MANT Umas. So No Stopping Me is good. Her evolution skills. She gets increased target speed instead of Dominator. I mean, that's fine. It's a mid-range skill. That gives you increased target speed. Her evolution for skill for No Stopping Me is kind of awkward because it just gives you stamina recovery during the late race. Like it's just 1.5% stamina recovery. This is because I'm like the meta evolution right now for No Stopping Me is Gentle Donna, and she gets like a guaranteed No Stopping Me proc essentially, which is significantly better of an evolution than getting 1.5% stamina recovery. Like Gentle Donna gets a guaranteed No Stopping Me, though it can activate later. It's just that like no matter what No Stopping Me will proc, it might be delayed. And I think who is it? Symboli Rudolph gets increased current speed, whereas Knight's Nature Tier gets increased target speed. And obviously the current speed is significantly better. So I mean, it's way better to run this as your ace than the other Knight's Nature, the 2-star version, the original outfit. Solely because you have No Stopping Me. But Dominator won't help you win. Like, she's like B tier. B tier realistically only runs on mediums. Really hard to get her to work on longs because you don't have that much mid race. So yeah, I think she's pretty decent on mediums. Miles, her kit doesn't really fit. But she's a better version than like Grass Wonder, for example, like the original Grass Wonder. You feel like the original Nature Unique is better than Cheerleaders? Yeah, Cheerleaders is just so awkward. It's like the only reason why you consider her is because of the access to No Stopping Me. Like not having to borrow Bijin and Mant is really nice. But I mean, Top Gun kind of does it better. But we won't talk about that. I think Top Gun, I mean, Fast Learner is just so much better. Like they both kind of have like nothing uniques, but Fast Learner on top of No Stopping Me is a little bit stronger than this one. On the same banner with Nice Nature Cheerleader is King Halo. She also gets accompanied by the Ruby Power card. That's actually, I don't even remember when this comes out. Where are we here? Is Ruby Power just... When is Ruby Power? Ruby Power might be too late. Oh, wait, no. Okay, Ruby Power's too late, but I'm still going to talk about it. So for Mant, we won't have access to Ruby Power, but Cheerleader Halo does have longevity as a parent. So this card will not be in Mant, but I do want to talk about it. Does Nakayama Festa come out? I don't think so. Yeah, she was in Grand Live. So no, I will not go over Nakayama Festa. I'm stopping at Smart Falcon Grand Live. Well, actually, I think I did a right. I think I have write up for Smart Falcon, so I will do Smart Falcon Grand Live. So King Halo Cheer, 10% speed, 10% power, 10% guts. She is a sprint, mile leader, or sprint, mile, pace chaser. Oh my gosh, sprint, mile, late surger, end closer. Because her unique can only work on late surgers and end closers. And it realistically only works on sprints and miles because it increases acceleration on the final straight. She's not a pace chaser. I got distracted by the B. She should be ran as a late surger or an end closer, or her unique should be inherited on a late surger or an end closer. So, as I said, her unique skill gives Excel on the final straight if you are 6th place or below during the first half of the race. It's a pretty like easy condition. Well, not easy condition to fulfill. It's a condition that should be filled because sprints are generally like front runner and pace chaser heavy because Nishino Flower is gonna come out. Saiyan Sky on the next sprint that we'll have, it can work on, and then on some miles, obviously, like because some people still run like Encroaching Shadow, for example. On some miles, this could also let your end closer get acceleration. It is only 0.2. It's 0.2 for 2.4, as opposed to the 0.9 of 4 seconds, which is more valuable because on mile tracks the final straight is a little bit delayed. But yeah, so sprints and miles. But because we have the condition of having to be 6th or lower the whole time, other people can also be running end closers or late surgers, and you could get pushed into 5th. As soon as you clip 5th during the first 50% of the race, you lose access to this unique. You also can't rush, so like 10% of the time, you just automatically lose access to this unique. Ruby is a power card. I personally don't think you should pull for this, but obviously maybe getting 1 copy if you really want the gold skill might be worth it. Her lightning speed is something that like I have to talk about because it kind of is meta shaping. If you're about to overtake someone in the second half of the pack, so if you are 5th or lower, actually I think you have to be overtaking into 5th. But if you overtake someone in the backpack during the late race, you'll get 4 seconds or 2 seconds of 0.4 acceleration, which is double the strength of like something like Encroaching Shadow. So generally, like this is a win condition for late surgers and end closers. It depends on how strong front runners are on mile tracks, but this is a very strong skill. It's twice as strong as Encroaching Shadow, and it works as soon as you overtake somebody. But yeah, I think like once this releases in the 4th scenario, the meta shift for sprints and miles should slowly go towards end closers. Sprints, yeah, they should generally win in sprints and miles. But right now, I think we're very for a lot of miles. I think we're very front heavy. Seems kind of random. Yeah, it's hard to like guarantee the activation, right? Because you need to have more power than the person behind you, or like it's really unlikely as an end closer you'll have access to speed carryover stuff. So you essentially have to just try to overtake somebody off of like raw power. But like with this card, like especially if you're like running triple end or something, you can do something like that, right? Especially if I kind of forgot what I was gonna say. But I think it's not like extremely consistent, but it's so strong on an end closer, right? 2 seconds of 0.4 acceleration. It's just a lot. I don't reckon like I don't even know like if you're an end closer main, you would realistically pull on this. But it is a skill that has use, so depends on if you're gonna be building around trying to hit lightning speed. I do think, this is a lot more consistent, right? 2.4 seconds of 0.2 acceleration on the final straight. Is it common to do triple of a strat in non-chariot races? Not realistically, no. At most, like people will double up, but I don't think most people run like triple of something. Because like even for like I think it's weird that that like Suzu Taiki front, OG Maru front got popularized. Usually people don't do like triple like that. Like most people do like runaway in one front. But I guess it's also because it's like I don't know. It's weird that like a lot of people are doing triple of something. I think like late surgers, for example. Like I'm very surprised that like the triple gambling comp or like a triple gambling team composition is very popular. Yeah, I think that's just room match meta. I'm just really surprised that like triple gamblers are extremely popular. All right, but that's everything on King Halo Cheer. Kind of gets pushed. Oh, I guess that's not everything on King Halo Cheer. I forgot to go over her actual kit. She has Rising Dragon, which is like it doesn't activate that consistently. Um, and then she has a speed and power increase on spring tracks. Uh, which I don't even know what off the top of my head what this is supposed to be for. I think it's the sprint. It's the sprint track. What's the sprint track? That's runs with the Osaka High. Um, but I think it's supposed to be for that track. I think this her kit is supposed to be for that sprint CM, or not the sprint CM, the sprint G1 that is with the Osaka High. Rising Dragons Evo just gives I think an increase in duration. Yeah, 1 extra second of duration. And then she gets 80 speed and power instead as her other Evo. Yeah, it's that sprint with the Osaka High. I'm pretty sure that's what her kit's for. Like it's her kit is literally just for that one race. Okay, actually, let me pull it up. Where is it? Sprint. Yes, whatever this one is. The Chuko 1200. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure this. Oh, actually, this is coming up, right? It's gonna already pass. That's the sprint that we have. Um, the CM is gonna be after or before her release, so you won't be able to run her on the first one. But this one does get rerun during I think this is like the fifth scenario or something. I think this is during the fifth scenario. It's the last CM before the it's the last CM before the fifth scenario. It'll get rerun. And then at that scenario, maybe you run King Halo Cheer. Yes, that is what her kit is for. It's for that race, right? Because it's for the straight. It's a consistent 0.2 0.2 acceleration for that. Well, as long as you don't rush and you are 6th place or below for the first 50%. It's a consistent 0.2 on that straight. So that plus Encroaching Shadow, for example, on that CM is 0.6 acceleration, which is enough for a sprint, assuming that you proc both. Do they ever run the Calstone track, like the 1000 meter? I don't think so. I don't think it's a G1. They run it for League of Heroes. Never mind. Sorry. I think League of Heroes is Mickey Mouse because it's really hard to be top 96, and I think that's like the only competitive part about it. But it is ran for the League of Heroes, the 1000 meter pure straight track. I will not be making content on League of Heroes. Can it be used as an inherit? Yeah. That's why I'm saying it's 0.6, because on inherit, it's 2.4. It's the same as any other acceleration unique. 2.4 seconds of 0.2 acceleration. So if you hit this and Encroaching Shadow on that sprint G1, maybe you can also have lightning speed as your other as like a backup excel. Like you have these 3 excels and you can miss one of them. Couldn't just no, it's on the last straight. Last straight. As gambling on positioning? No. It can only activate on the last strike. It's not the first straight you encounter. Encroaching Shadow works on the first straight you encounter during the late race. This one's conditions is it has to be that last straight, which is why it only works on sprints and miles. They buff the rewards for the top 96. I think League of Heroes Mickey Mouse. Why do I have... Wait, no, we're missing Fujin. But it's also like where all the frontrunners retire, because frontrunners are kind of weak in in like the current Japanese CMs. So the League of Heroes is like for the frontrunners. So next up we have Ines Fujin. Ines Fujin, I think, is a frontrunner for medium, if I remember. Yeah, frontrunner medium. She has 15% speed, 15% guts, which the guts is kind of awkward on a medium track, right? Like you would rather have power or wit. But 15% speed is fine. Lets you like run like 2 speeds on most decks, even in MANT. Her unique gives you speed when there's 300 meters left. There's a lot of preconditions for this. I think it's if you finished climbing a hill right before. I think it's the precondition. Yeah. If you finish climbing a hill right before, you'll get 0.45, otherwise you get 0.25. Which means she can basically only run on Tokyo tracks, I believe. I believe this means it's only Tokyo. Yes, because this is the hill that she will try to climb. Otherwise, you get 0.25 instead of 0.45. So she has a stronger, quote unquote, because she still has to be top 2. She gets Ogre's unique if she's running a Tokyo race choice and climbs this specific hill. I don't know what other tracks it works on. I just know she was a Tokyo runner, or a Tokyo front runner. But that is her unique. Otherwise, you just get like an inherited version. She has Slipstream, which is always good. If there's like 2 front runners, for example, which you should be running 2 front runners, you can proc Slipstream off of the first place front runner. She has Moxie. I do not remember what the skill is. I think this is a new skill. In medium, if you're in the front during the middle leg, you'll slightly drain the speed of girls behind you and slightly speed yourself up. 0.035 current speed decrease seems so weak. But I guess she has that. Oh, it's not Speed Eater because it's medium tracks, right? Yeah, but yeah, it's like kind of like Speed Eater. 0.035 current speed. Seems pretty weak, but I guess it's a target speed increase during the mid race, so I mean it doesn't hurt to have. Yeah, I do not remember the skill, but then again, I never run front runners. She has the upgraded version of Moxie, Restless, not Restless. What's the upgraded version of Moxie? I feel like I should know this. Oh, it is Restless. Okay. She does have Speed Eater as well, though I don't think you would ever bring her on a mile when something like the Hono Bourbon Valentine's or Summer Marzinski exists. And then she has the upgraded version of that Speed Eater skill, which actually upgrades it to a 0.15 target speed increase, which makes it as strong as Speed Eater, but you get 0.35 target speed increase instead of 0.15. I don't really think you're going to realistically use this as a quote-unquote debuffer. I think it's more so that you have the target speed increase, and like if there's if there's other front runners behind you, then maybe it's strong. I don't think she's that strong. Her evolutions, like Moxie, gets upgraded to have a slight target speed increase, and then the debuff mid-race target speed increase gets increased by a second. I think she just gets kind of bullied out on. So she should essentially only run Tokyo tracks, because otherwise her unique is just too weak. Like you should be attempting to fulfill these conditions, which is the Tokyo tracks. I think on the Derby, for example, and maybe on the Derby on release, she's not that bad. I'm kind of scarred by New Year's Kitasen Black for the Derby, but I guess she's not out when Ines Fujin releases, so it's not that worrying. But I think anything else besides the Derby on Tokyo tracks, like the 2000 meter and I guess it's just the 2000 meter, like Christmas Ogre would be stronger, right? Because 777 has a good activation on the 2000 meter. So I think like on release she'll be good for the Derby. Yeah. I think most of the times you see the 0.45 target speed increase, like it will always be compared to the original Ogre, because I think she has the easiest 0.45. I guess passing 3 people on like a late surge or an enclosure isn't terrible to fulfill. But I think Ogre's Triumphant Pulse is like the most common thing to compare it to, or like the most activatable. No, that's not the right word. Consistent. And this one quite literally only works on Tokyo tracks. I don't think she's that strong. Like, I think obviously everyone glazes, Marzinski, Valentine's, who will, like, if you compare her to, sorry, not Marzinski, Valentine's, I just combined them both. If you compare her to Mihono Bird and Valentine's, like, she's just not that strong. And I think, like, by the time we get to Evos, like, frontrunners kind of fall out of the meta. Okay, so next up we have Medro Palmer. Medro Palmer is a medium long runner. Medium long front runner. She has 10% speed, 10% stam, 10% guts. The guts and stam are pretty good for long tracks, and like speed never hurts to have. She has a recovery skill. It's also a really long duration speed skill. Right? Like 0.25 for 6 seconds. Like this is anchors away, essentially. Like on long tracks is 18 seconds of a target speed increase that also has stamina recovery stapled onto it. So it's like not that bad of a unique. I think a lot of people like see that it's a stamina skill and like kind of write it off. But she has 6 seconds of 0.25, which is just on like a 3000 meter. Actually, the Kikuo show never runs again. On something like the Derby, not the Derby, the Tennis Show Spring, this is 19.2 seconds of 0.25 target speed increase, which translates to what, 5 meters? Like a little bit less than 5 meters. And the conditions for it should be really easy to fulfill because she has access to runaway, and you just have to be top 2. Obviously, the most consistent way to activate this is to be runaway. I think on release though she's gonna be extremely weak, which I'll touch on a little bit later once I get through her innate stuff. She has playtime's over, which doesn't really matter if you're building her as a runaway. Runner straights, and then she has keeping the lead for long tracks, which is Vanguard Spirit's good for runaways. She has front runner, which is the precursor to taking the lead, or the white skill of taking the lead. She has the upgraded version of playtime's over, and then she has Vanguard Spirit. So everything about her kit screams runaway, right? She gets Great Escape through... I actually don't remember her conditions. How do you get this again? Win the Arima Kinen. The classic, which I think you have to do. It's not part of your career. Win the... Okay, this one's part of your career. And then win the... So you have to do one additional race. Well, obviously you have to win all 3, but you just do the Arima Kina Classic to have access to it. The only issue is that she is a victim of MANT. In MANT, you cannot get runaway. Even if you fulfill the secret event, like if you finish the races, you will just not unlock runaway. Which just like most likely runaway dies when the 3rd scenario releases, just because it's way too hard to overcome the difference of skill points, to overcome the difference of stats, and everything. Is there an explanation behind that? You don't have any career goals in MANT. MANT like disables career goals, and it disables most like career specific events like Taishin's guaranteed mood down, Super Creek's guaranteed mood down. Like those get all disabled because it's just like you don't follow the careers anymore. So and all the like racing secret events all get disabled. But I think Mayono Top Gun I think still has access to her guaranteed fast learner. Can Unity Runaways still be competitive as blockers? Yeah, I think you can still use it as blockers. Because there's no stat increase for MANT. And I think in Unity you can just like max out power and wit to block. So her playtime's over, gets increased by 1 second if you have the Great Escape skill, and then Vanguard Spirit can either get an increased duration of 1 second or more target speed. But I think the conditions for this one changes, right? If you've been blocked, this one is if you're being contested during the middle leg, you get 0.45 target speed increase, whereas Vanguard Wisdom is if you are a length ahead of second place, you get the target speed increase. So I guess if you like don't want to do Runaway, but it's kind of awkward to not do Runaway because then you don't get your second evolution skill. Well, actually, no, you don't need Runaway because you can just have 800 speed. Never mind. So she has a alternate version of Vanguard Spirit if you don't want to run her as Runaway on her evolution. But yeah, I think on release, like, she's just a victim of of making a new track. No, that's not Veggie Palmer, that's Bright. Also, she's a victim of MANT because she has Mile F, which is extremely hard to raise it. Because I think, honestly, if she didn't have Mile F, she can actually kind of contest in medium tracks with her unique, because it's a stamina recovery with that mid-race stapled on. But I think, like, any Uma that can run the early career mile tracks to kickstart their training is just going to be going to be more competitive. But obviously you can still run Palmer, like, and just, like, I don't know how likely you are that you're going to face against somebody who is doing, the 40 minutes to 1 hour runs to make a souped up front runner. But I do think, like, in terms of, like, top tier builds, it's just harder to make her stronger because of this Mile F compared to all the other Umas that can run those early mile tracks. I think after MANT, Runaways are somewhat common. Like, I think she's in the current meta. Like, I think there's a chance. Well, not the current meta, but before, like, before, like, the 5th scenario, like, not the next Arima Keenan, but the Arima Keenan after, I think Palmer has a chance to win it out. So not this Arima Keenan, but this one that is during Grand Live. I think people will probably rate her pretty highly. She has a pretty good kit for the Arima Keenan, like a 5.5% recovery, a 5.5% recovery, and I don't know if you have access to the Evo skills, but 5.5% recovery and the stat increases from Grand Live, I think you could live a spot struggle, and, like, you won't face any mystifying murmurs. Like, I think double Runaway for that Irving McKinnon could work. People are gonna be happy that Runaway's gone for a scenario. I think Runaway is fine. Once we get to the 2nd anniversary and everyone has access to Twin Turbo, like, when you can I think the issue right now is that we don't have the stats to beat out a, we just don't have enough to beat out a unrestrained proc, which is just something that you kind of just have to suck up. But I think on that Ori McKinnon in Grand Live, like this is gonna be pretty good. Our 2 distance Uma is not usable during MANT. I think you can get away without having long, but the issue is that like all the early races are miles. Actually, I probably can't pull up the agenda. But like a lot of the races in the first year are just mile races. And like you really want to do like these G3s, these G3 miles in MANT. Right? Like you really don't want to do an open race. So like, but like all the G3s early on are generally miles. Mile. This is a sprint. I like there's one medium here, another mile, mile. Oh, I guess these two are together. Like you can run 2 races, right? Early on, you can run the hopeful stakes and 1 medium track. The where was that? Was it G2 or G3? There's 2 medium tracks. Like I think mile. I guess there's a medium here. Mile. Like you're just missing out on all of the early races without being able to run a mile. Here's your next medium after the hopeful stakes. This is 3 turns without being able to race. Like all of this after this medium race, it's all miles. Your next medium is the Soxy show. Like you just can't race that much without being able to run miles. And it's just like how, like it's just you're gonna be your Uma that you make in MANT is just gonna be weaker because you really don't want to do these opening races. Like at the minimum, you want to do G3s. Opening races just don't give enough like stuff. How's my Night Stam farm going? Not too hot. I learned that apparently I have like a lot of it. I just don't have a parent that I'm happy with to like even slot in as a grandparent for running an X-Dam. But I am now just trying to grab it off of inheritances. Well, on top of trying to grab it off of like actually fulfilling it in the scenario. It's just, I mean, you just gotta keep going, right? This is a like 25% chance. 1 in 4 runs that you actually even see the skill. But surely I'll be rewarded. But yeah, I mean, it's just parent farming. It's whatever. Because I really want to win the Ori McKinnon with Ogre. And I think like generally like the percentage that you can get off of having Burning Stam for the Ori McKinnon is too much to pass up on. Alright, so next up we have the wedding versions of Curtain and Fine Motion. Grab my notes. 777s is not good for the Ori McKinnon. It's fine. Okay, it's not the Tokyo. The issue with 777s is that it activates 2. Like it's fine as your 4th, but you would realistically you always want to try to activate Christmas Ogre's unique before the late race because you want to take advantage of the target speed increase. Right? It's better that you use the target speed increase for carryover and then use like half of the Excel than to use the whole Excel 50 meters after the late race starts. So 777s is like the backup 4th. Wait. Is it this track that... Wait, what is 2500? 18 something? It's like 1800 something, right? Is it 1833? Yeah, like, it's like way too late. Or is it 1780 something, right? Like it just activates too late. Like it's your backup Excel, which I mean, it's your backup fourth, which I think I don't even know if you're gonna win off of a 777's proc with the Arima Keenan. Christmas Ogre's 777's procs works for 2,000 meters to 2,200 meters. Anything there, like 777's activates perfectly fine. Christmas Ogre's mainly a medium racer. She's like ideal for 2,000 to 2,200. Okay, so we have Curran. Curran winning is very strong. She's pretty much meta on most sprints. I think a lot of people like say that she's meta for sprints. She has 10% speed, power, wit, which is like the 3 stats you want. Actually, I guess you want guts for sprints, right? Like the only thing you don't care about is stam, but you're trying to hit 1,200 on everything else. The growth rates are good enough, right? 10% speed, 10% guts really helps when you're training guts and you get that speed power increases. She's a late cert. That is not a late certer. She's a pace chaser. Her unique activates. It's a hybrid, but it activates when there is less than 350 meters remaining, which makes it optimal in 1,000 meter races. So in the one League of Heroes, which is going to be about 2 years from now, she is S tier. Everything else, Nishino Flower kind of does better. The 1200s, I think Nishino Flower does better, right? But you can always just inherit Nishino Flower. The issue with the 1,200 meter races, I think it activates a couple seconds too late. I don't know what the exact. I think it's like 1 or 2 seconds too late. But this is built for that 1,000 meter race. You have to be second through fourth, and you have to be second through fourth at those remaining meters. She's very similar to Halloween Creek. But there is no, like, there's just that League of Heroes. There's no G1 that is actually 1,000 meters. But yeah, and obviously when inherited, it's a lot weaker. So she's not, like, it's literally just for this one League of Heroes. Because I don't think there'll ever be a CM on that track. Where is it? On this one? Like, I don't think there'll ever be a CM on this track. Because it's not a G1 race. But that's like the ideal race for her. She has the same thing as Curran. I don't remember what the skill was called. But it's the sprint one where you decrease the people behind, it decreases the speed behind you, and she also has turbo sprint for the randomness of being able to accelerate on that final straight during the final leg. Actually, does turbo sprint have the final leg condition? No, it's called Adored by All. Okay, right now turbo sprint doesn't have the right now turbo sprint activates on a random straight. But when it's in the final leg, it's another gambling. It's not that gambling anymore. But yeah, she's meta for one League of Heroes sprint. The 1200s, like, I think, I mean, she can work in the 1200s, right? But you're still inheriting Nishino Flower, and like, if you hit Nishino Flower, I don't think that, 2 seconds later, when you hit one true color, like, you're gonna, like, that's what made the difference. I guess it's the target speed increase. But that's Curran. I guess I didn't go over her evos. I think she's just too niche. Hashtag wanna get Curran. What? It evolves into, what is this? There's a target speed increase during the opening leg, which isn't bad. And then, or it can evolve into just target speed without the decreased current speed. And then turbo sprint can get access to field of view. She's like, I mean, S tier for the 1,000 meter. like C tier everywhere else, right? She's S tier. What is the 1,000 meters? Is it a G3? What even is this race? Where is it? I lost it. League of Heroes Sprint. I don't remember what track it was on. I don't know. Nigata? What is this? Racetracks. What is this? Yeah, it's a G3. For this one track, she will be S tier. All right, next up we have Fine Motion. Right. Fine Motion is a mile pace chaser, I believe. 10% guts, 20% wit. I don't think she realistically can work on mediums and longs. I'm pretty sure she's just a mile. It's because it's a speed skill that activates on the final leg corner. Right? Or it can activate. Wait, hold up. Yes, so it's a final leg corner. I don't think you can use it for speed carryover. If it activates too early, you gain acceleration to compensate the loss of duration. If there's, the remaining distance is over 400. She has access to the evolved version of head-to-head or head-on, the Pace Chaser gambling skill, which, I mean, it's a gambling skill for miles, right? And then you can get a little bit of acceleration out of her unique if it activates too early. But the speed part is kind of weak. She also has the mile skill. Is this Mile Maven or is this gear change? This is gear change, not gear change. Shifting gears. What is it called in English? Changing gears. Shifting gears, I think, is the white. It increases the duration by it increases target speed by 0.1 as the Evo, and then you can get field of vision increase, which you're not gonna grab. They're just gonna grab the other condition where at the last 300 meters you get 0.15 target speed increase after you trigger the gambling acceleration. She's okay. She's like, I think like pace chasers generally want to do speed carryover stuff rather than gambling on head on. But I mean, because you're gambling with head on or the gold version of head on, you can kind of get away with like not getting too much speed carryover, right? And building like more traditionally, or like building more, yeah, I guess traditionally. Which makes her easier to build because your win condition is winning the gamble of head on. But it's not going to be as competitive as like someone building the meta, like a meta speed carryover into whatever. So I think she's like pretty good, like B plus A tier, but will never be like top of the meta because I think Fierce using head on as your win condition is just too unreliable. All right. How many more do we have? We're like halfway through. Yeah, about halfway through. Okay, I'm gonna try to be a little bit quicker. All right, next up we have Inari 1, 10% stam, 20% power. Her aptitudes put her on. She can kind of run mile, medium, long, and dirt. She has dirt A as well for those miles and mediums. Most of the time, she's going to be an end closer. She can do pace chaser or late surger. It's kind of like there's a drawback with everything. Her unique increases speed when competing with somebody else, which when it says compete fight count, this is a new condition that we haven't seen. This means that you are in a duel. So when you are dueling somebody on that final straight, which is pretty unlikely to trigger on like longer tracks, right? Because usually it's like one person all the way in the front trying to win because like they hit an acceleration or something. Usually, or like you're competing and you're like just too far to duel. I think dueling in of itself is pretty like inconsistent. Oh shoot, I just closed out of it. I think it's pretty inconsistent, um, but it's a 0.45. Like it's the triumphant pulse as long as you went into that duel. You also have to never touch top 3 in the first half of the race, but top 3 is like if you're an end closer or a late searcher and you somehow enter top 3, like uh you are just in a wacky room. She has not triple sevens. She has tail held high as one of her innate skills, and then she has end closer straights as the other innate skill. She has a recovery skill for dirt. And then she has Winter Runner as one of her awakening skills. She has so her 2 awakening skills are the gold version of Tail Held High, which is actually pretty strong, right? It's 3 seconds of 0.35, pretty consistent. You should be activating 3 skills. Her other one, unfortunately, is a dirt recovery skill, but the makes her pretty strong in the 1 medium track on dirt. I think it's when she releases. Or not when she releases. But there is a dirt medium, which you can use this recovery skill for, but it's not not that great. Like it's pretty much useless outside of everything. Like I don't like she's not gonna be meta on dirt. We're going to her Evo skills. Evo skills, tail high gets 0.1. Or whatever triple 9 tails, whatever they called it. You can still only use it on dirt. Her other Evo skill does let her use it on medium tracks, which obviously is a lot better because there's not that many dirt CMs. There's like 1 every year. But this one allows her to run medium tracks. I think the main issue with her kit is her unique is just too weak. You're not in the duel right away because of the unique. Yeah, but at least you activated it, right? Like at least you have that triumphant pulse. I mean, you can be competing for first and second. You can be in first place. There can be somebody in second compete dueling you, and then you can use triumphant pulse. I think it's just way too inconsistent though. Like most of the time, like just losing out your unique because there isn't a second person who is, in a similar strength to you, just is too inconsistent for me to like. But you have to enter a duel for this. It is just too inconsistent. I think she can be ran on medium tracks when Evos come out, right? Tail high, medium recovery, 3.5% medium recovery with a 0.45 mid race isn't that bad. I just think her unique is just too inconsistent for it to be good. But she can kind of do everything. As long as you don't... Actually, Pace Racer might be a little awkward because you might break this precondition. Affinity bag? Maybe. I mean, her inherit is 0.25, but you have to duel. Yeah, I just don't think it's that strong. Her unique is just too quirky. Alright, next up we have Sweet Tosho. Sweet Tosho has 10% speed, 20% power. She is a mid end closer. But on release, she's kind of just a debuffer. She's the only one who has access to what is this called? What is it called? Intense Gaze, Petrifying Gaze, right? So she is just a mid special. Well, I guess you can use it. Nah, it's mostly mid. Sorry, not mid, medium debuffer. She's the only one who has access to Intense Gaze's upgrade, which is an Encloser Dominator. Because it does, the issue with this one is that it has to be with field of view. So like that's why I don't really consider it a long track. Because you would have to basically activate it right away for it to effectively work on a long track. But because she can also just be ran as an ace though, because the conditions is that you're not first place. You can just run her as an ace with this and then debuff the people in front of you. But I think like she's just too awkward on long tracks. Like this is realistically maybe miles if you don't have a third ace and medium tracks. But if you wanted a dedicated debuffer, you would just run a Dominator instead. But I guess if you're decreasing the people in front of you by 0.25, it's kind of like you got increased by 0.25, right? So it's not like specific. She's not built specifically as a debuffer. Her unique skill increases your speed if you're below 50% when entering the final corner. 6 seconds of 0.35, which is like an anchor's away. Duration. I think duration gets worse if you were doing long tracks, which is another reason why she's like, if you're running her as an ace on a long track, you kind of lose a little bit out on her unique. Because it has to be at the last 300 meters, assuming that you stayed 5th place or lower and didn't rush on that final corner and beyond on those 300 meters, you will get it. She has after school stroll, just like Gold Ship, for the recovery skill for that medium track, and then yeah, the Intense Gaze upgrade. After school stroll gets target speed increase for after school magician girl, and then passionate gaze, you can increase your own current speed with a decreased current speed, or you can just make it just a increased current speed skill. I think most of the time, like you just use her as a speed debuffer, but she has a chance of winning off of like, I don't know, a no stopping me, or like a like she is a hybrid, right? Like if she's not winning, she decreases the people in her view, and she will push up, right? Like the only way realistically for you to hit the people that matter is if you build her as an ace with it. So like in terms of a team comp, she's not going to win a lot, but at least she is a dominator that can win versus like she's a dominator that can win while still being able to proc her unique. Because the issue with dominator is that if you built them to win, it's really hard for them to proc dominator 6th place or below. Whereas sweep Tosho will pretty much consistently decrease the target speed of people while like trying to win, because all you have to do is just push up as far as you can, and you'll just decrease the target speed of the people who are generally winning, right? It's usually if like there's people behind you on sweep Tosho, like they're usually not gonna win, right? Because it's the final leg. Like whoever's in the front generally can just try to win, unless somebody hits some crazy like 1.0 acceleration, blasts past everybody after Intense Gaze goes off. But I think like as a dedicated debuffer, she's not good, but she's probably the best user of like a hybrid build. You can also technically she unlocks self-control, which is helps you, it increases your rush chance by like, what is this? I think this is like 20 to 30%. Technically, you could pass this into your legacy because it's a white skill, which like who can effectively use this? Dober can't rush. King Halo can't rush. But I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth it, but I mean, this is basically the only access to self-control. I don't think these other cards, I don't think anything else releases anytime soon. So this will be our first instance of self-control. Oh, Bourbon, yeah. The original Bourbon can't rush either. I just don't think it's worth like putting this into your legacies, but I guess if you're like really in love with making parents, like it's a nice one to have. Because the condition is always like, this is actually somewhat useful for front runners, right? Because it's a green that um, decreasing rush is good. It activates on any track. I just don't believe in general grandparents. Is there one that increases rush chance? I cannot remember off the top of my head. I don't think so. That increases rush chance. I don't think so, but I might be misremembering. That's everything about Sweet Tosho. It's just a hybrid. She's a hybrid. I think it's fine. Like, I think a hybrid is fine because you can, if you're not winning, at least you're hitting the people in front of you. Now the purple has late start. This is guaranteed late start, and this is just during her career. I think like sometime during the classic year she has an event where she gets it. I don't remember. I don't run Sweep Tosho. But then she clears this and gives you self-control. Something to do with her bratty career. Yeah, that's everything about the Sweep Tosho. We have Dober and Taiki. Dober Camping is a medium late surger. Her unique requires a downhill between 60% and I think 66% is the number, I think. And also you have to be 7th through 4th with a remaining distance of 500 or less during the mid-race. But if it procs like that, then you get speed carryover. And obviously at 60%, you most likely already at your top target speed for it. I think like the track that this works on is like the Hanshin 1600 meter. I believe. I will go to her golds on why I say she's also a medium betweener. She can kind of work as like speed carryover on some miles, but I think for the rest of them, they're like kind of the rest of them, like they can activate on that downhill. It's just it won't be for speed carryover. I think actually I'm pretty sure the reference doc, because Hersey likes Dober, has a whole write-up on her kit. I'm pretty sure I saw it before when when she released. But the other issue with camping Dober is that like as a late surger, you really want the original Dober's unique and Ryan's unique. So there's gonna be like, to build the strongest camping Dober, you would have to have the original Dober as a grandparent and then get the unique with 0 affinity to have both of them. Her golds are pretty interesting. She's medium because of all of her skills are basically medium, right? Like she has medium distances, and Rise from the Ashes, which is a really interesting skill name. But this one, if you gain acceleration during a random, it's on your left essentially, but for medium races. It's just exactly on your left, but only specifically on medium races. Daredevil is interesting. This is another gambling skill. It can be target speed increase and acceleration. Acceleration is always good, obviously, but you're gambling that it gives you speed carryover. The evolutions, I believe, just this one I think gives you more base duration. Oh, a lot more base duration. 1.8, 1.6. And then this one removes the acceleration, gives you current speed increase, which is very good. and and then I think just more what doubles the base duration for gambling. 4 seconds of 0.4 acceleration on a medium track, but you're gambling that it activates early on. Yeah, I don't like. She's just too gambly for my liking. Um, really awkward on medium tracks because you lose access to. I guess you don't lose access to once you get your evolutions. But no, you do lose access. Yeah, Rise from Masters only works on medium tracks. So, like, it's interesting to use her unique as speed carryover, but then you lose one of your gold skills. She's not too strong, like B tier. I think the drawback is just like not being able having access to the original Dober, or making it so much harder to get the original Dober unique. Just kind of sucks. But she doesn't. She's not like the worst. She's not F tier. It's just like it's just too hard to get the original Dober's unique. Next up, we have the Taiki Camping, who is a mile pace chaser, just like the original Taiki. Has 30% power growth for some reason. Who's the F? Who's the F tier Uma? New Year's Haru. The fact that anyone can just up their dirt aptitude and blow Haru out of dirt is actually so stupid. But it's like Haru. I put Hishi Amazon in that tier too. I think Hishi Amazon's like F tier. I really just like Hishi Amazon's kit. Who else did I put? I think I put like Kawakami Princess. Actually, I didn't put Kawakami Princess in F tier. But, like Kawakami Princess is not that good either. There's like a lot. There's like some. Okay, you know what? Sorry, let me fix this. Like Haru, like there's just better dirt racers. Who else is F tier? Okay, F tier, like I don't think there's anything that is straight up F tier because you can do so much to like make up for the fact that you don't have access to a gold skill. But there's a lot of people who just have a inherent worse kit, right? Anyways, back to Taiki. Camp Taiki gets Ogre Christmas. Or not Ogre Christmas. OG Ogre. I'm pretty sure this is just right. Like this is just exactly Triumph Impulse. If you are 5 lengths or higher from first, or sorry, 5 lengths or less. I think it's lengths. Is it meters? Oh, it's meters. If you are 5 meters, which is 2 lengths, from you and first place, and you are 4th through 2nd, at the last 200 meters, you get target speed increase and current speed increase. So if you are not within 2 lengths of first place, then you don't get Triumphant Pulse. But if you are within 2 lengths or 5 meters, you get a better version of Triumphant Pulse. Kind of crazy. Otherwise, you get slightly weaker version of it. It's literally just Triumphant Pulse, right? Except you can't be 5th. It's 4th to 2nd within 2 lengths for the current speed increase. Like it's just Triumphant Pulse. It's the last 200 meters. Like it's just copy paste Triumphant Pulse. She has the evolved version of Head On, just like Fine Motion Wedding, which I mean it's a gambling skill, right? Better in sprints and miles. She has Mile Maven. I think that's about it. Mile Maven gets evolved to give you more target speed increase. There's a field of view increase for Head On, or I don't even know what the evolve is called in English. I guess I'll just call it Fierce Competition. Field of view increase doesn't matter. This evolution sucks. I mean, just like B tier, right? The main reason why I put her B tier is if there's a track where you can inherit Taiki's ult, it makes it way too hard to build her. But if you can't inherit Taiki's ult, then you can probably just run Taiki and like borrow, or not borrow, Taiki and then use Nishino Flower. So it's not like, it's not the worst. I like Head On obviously is really good. Mile Maven has always been good. But I mean, I guess you can get bullied out of top 5. But the instantaneous Triumph Impulse, it's like pretty common that you are within 2 links of first place on a mile track. So I'm not saying like it's super consistent, but it's a lot more consistent on mile tracks because everyone's a lot closer. Like you're not losing by distance on a mile track. You see her a lot in the current job. Yeah. Like I think she's really strong. Like if you cannot use Taiki's, she's weaker when obviously like when Taiki's inherit works, but instantaneous Triumph Impulse and Fierce Competition is really good. Mile Maven has always been good. It's just like the only thing that's slightly weak about her is that she doesn't have an evolution. Like this evolution is literally nothing. But I think otherwise like she's just good on miles. Is the Taiki good in sprints? Yeah, I mean she could be ran on sprints. It's just you lose one of your golds. Like she's just better. I just call her better in mile because this one is stuck in mile. I think like there's better sprinters that can be built. There's just, but I mean I guess you can use this in sprints, right? Because like what you get Fierce Competition, like you can get Turbo Sprint, Rushing Gale, all of those. You definitely would never bring her to a medium. I really don't think you would bring her to medium. You really want like Fierce Competition, anything that has a random phase like on your left, and like Fierce Competition, is generally reserved for sprints and miles because there's the way that they randomly choose a point that it can activate in is in 10-meter increments. So the shorter the race, the less 10-meter increments there are. So there's a higher chance that it would activate earlier. Also on mediums and longs, there's more consistent. There's consistent enough Excel options that you don't need to gamble on something like this. But yeah, I think most of the time you'll just see the camping version on mile tracks. What do you have? Air Shakur? Holy, how many more do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more? And this is taking a lot longer than I thought it would. Air Shakur, 30% wit. She is a medium track end closer. She gets a... her ult... Sorry, I was just reading it. It's really awkward, right? So the precondition is that you need to be in the innermost lane. You need to be the innermost lane at the final corner and be 7th through 4th. And then you'll get the target speed increase and the lane movement speed increase at the final straight. But most of the time on the yes, when you change lanes, you get more target speed increase, but most of the time, like when you're on that final straight, you're not going to be changing lanes unless you are trying to overtake somebody, right? But I think like even then, the preconditions sometimes is awkward, right? There could be a chance where you are not in that first lane, but it's not like at the end of the world. The issue is that her uniques, or not her uniques, her golds are Moonlight Flash, which is an end closer skill that gives you target speed increase on a random straight, which is the upgraded version of end closer straights. It's the gold version of end closer straights. And then she has another skill which during the second half, or during the middle leg, you'll get a target speed increase. So I think it'd be really, like, her unique, you have to be in the innermost lane when you're 7th through 4th as an end closer, or else you lose access to you lose access to the gold version of end closer straights. So like she really wants to be an end closer, but her unique needs her to push up while also staying in lane 1. And usually when an end closer pushes up, you are overtaking somebody, right? So you won't be in lane 1. And this has to be during the final corner. And at the final corner, everyone spreads out, right? Because that's just how it works. As soon as the final corner starts, everyone will get flung out, and it is pretty unlikely that you are the one in lane 1. I think like her unique is just too inconsistent. Like it's just so unlikely that when everyone flings out, you are the one occupying lane 1. Her evolution skills give her a 1.5% recovery skill for medium tracks at the random time during the mid race, and then her other one gives her current speed increase on a random straight, which can still like random straight is always more awkward than corner stuff just because it can activate right at the finish line. I mean, like, the only thing interesting about her kit is that with 30% wit, you can drop a wit card, but like, why would you want to do that? I feel like wit cards are just strong. I guess if you don't have like strong wit cards, I don't know. Her kit, her unique is just so inconsistent. Like, the fact that everyone gets flinged out once the final corner starts, and you specifically have to be in that one lane is just too much too much gambling. This isn't going to be part of the gacha, but I do want to talk about Commander Special Week. So after Air Shakur, so this is going to be during Grand Live. After Air Shakur, they're going to do a rerun banner with Narita Bryan and Saiyan Sky, and then during this rerun banner with the MANT PAL card that releases a month before MANT ends. I think this is gonna be like 2 to 3 weeks for us. They will give us a free 3-star. They'll give us Special Week. This Special Week is 10% speed, 10% stam, 10% wit. She's like a pace chaser or late surger. I don't remember. Her kit is specifically for the Arima Keenan. This welfare Special Week is practically only usable on the Arima Keenan. You lose 0.2 target speed if you are not on a Nakayama track, which is the track that the Arima Keenan is ran on. This is if you activate a skill on the final corner, your speed will increase, which is actually pretty good. Or not pretty good, like it's decent. She has corner at depth, press the attack, which is a long track skill, and then she has the white to rising dragon, I believe. Long distance straights, long distance corners, another long track specific thing, which is innate experience. No, not innate experience. I actually don't remember what this is called in English. I know Fukukitaru has it. It's tremendous pressure, overwhelming pressure, which is another long track, which increases your speed when you're passing somebody. And then she has number 1 horse girl in Japan, which will give you increased speed on the final corner. Her evolutions are stamina recovery on that long one, and then more target speed. So like her entire kit is specifically for the Arima Keenan. And even then, like, it's not gonna be that much stronger. Though actually, you could, if somebody had a whale deck, you could see somebody run this. Once we get to Symbolic Princess as a late searcher, but I think the deck requirement for her is too much when other people have better. I think like as a welfare Uma, like she's too hard to build, but I mean I guess a whale deck can kind of just build anything. But yeah, she specifically runs the Arima Keenan. When did she release? 7-12. Game. Sorry, PvP. Will she make it? Yeah, she'll make it for this. What is this, Grand Live? Yeah. She only runs through Rimakinen, essentially. I think like it's buildable, right? I just think like on release she's not good because she can only run the Rimakinen. But yes, this will be put in the game sometime soon. She gets put in the game whenever the Team Sirius card releases, because they teased our first group card with Team Sirius right before Thrones releases, and then there's like a special quest you can do to unlock Commander Special Week. All right, I'm just gonna open up all these. We got five more to go. Okay, Metro McQueen, Summer. She is a long track pace chaser. Her unique skill increases your speed at the 50% mark as long as you're 4th place or higher. And the duration scales with how much HP you have. Just like Meguro Brights, on the Tendo Show Spring, you can use this for carryover. Or the Kikua Show, but I don't think the Kikua Show ever runs again. I think it's like most of the times when you see like a special scaling like this, the way for this to last from the 50% mark to the start of the late race is on races that are 3,000 meters or higher. Because at that point, if you had enough HP to run the track, you have enough HP to up this special scaling to prolong it to the start of the late race. Really easy, unique to trigger. Like you should be top 4 on a long track. Late races usually are like pretty end closer heavy because of encroaching shadow. And like this mid race, like the fact that it lasts so long. Is 0.15 target speed increase correct? Yes. It's just like Meguro Bright. It is 0.15. She has another long track which happens on the later half of the mid race, where you'll just get target speed increase, and then she has a pace chaser long track recovery skill that gives you 7.5% during the random time during the first phase, as long as you didn't late start. But yeah, this is just a leader version of Meguro Bright, which I talked about earlier. Because the only issue is that outside of Christmas Ogre, like there's no other pace chasers. But yeah, I think like for a long track, like her and Christmas Ogre are basically the only ones that work. A 15% chance to lose recovery. Yeah, but I feel like if you late start on a pace chaser, you already lost anyways, right? Either way, you won't run her. She has a mile left, just like the original or the other two McQueen outfits. She's not gonna be good in MANT. After MANT, what is it? The Tenosha Spring, this one, like maybe. Actually, no, this one's the last race of MANT. Wait, no, it's not. Wait, hold up. Let me look at MANT. These are all the races in MANT. Yeah. Oh no. This is the first race in MANT. Yeah, you're not running her in MANT. But she's fine outside of it. She's like a little bit more viable after MANT. Like maybe like the Kyoto 3200 over here. It's just pace chasers just aren't that strong. Her evolutions, more long track stuff. 9.5% recovery. MANT feels like you can only play moves that do all 3. Well, it's just like, I mean, it's not like, you know, you can't. It's just, I'm comparing Meguro McQueen, who is a long track pace chaser, to like someone like Christmas Ogre, right? Which is just like, it's just so hard to beat Christmas Ogre. especially in MANT when you can't run miles. But I think she's like okay. She's like on release, she's like B tier. Like she creeps up to A tier after MANT. But yeah, she's just a long pace chaser, which is generally only like the Tenosho Spring and like the Arima Kinan. But the reason also why I don't want to put her too high is because um, this is like the next meta long track pace chaser when Narita Brian Blaze releases. So even like after Mant, Blaze, I guess like somewhat in between, right? During Grand Live, I won't get to Narita Bryant Blaze, but Narita Bryant Blaze is her. She's basically the pace chaser, long track player because of her unique monsters. If you can fulfill these conditions, it's kind of crazy. 0.55 target speed increase. But there's like some strategies that you can do to disable her unique, so it's not like I don't know. We won't talk about Narita Brian Blaze, but Summer McQueen is going to be compared to Narita Brian Blaze once we get around there. Next up, we have Goldship. Goldship is really interesting. She has 20% power, 10% wit. She has the same thing as the other gold chips, right? Mile C at least lets her be usable in Mant for training of it. Her unique skill is anytime at a random point during the second half, you get a small target speed increase, and it triggers 2 gold skills that you have. And the gold skills that are triggered ignore your activation conditions. The skills triggered, ignore their activation conditions. And it won't trigger like green golds or whatever. When inherited, this turns into 1 random gold, which is very popular on debuffers, right? Because, for example, like Mystifying Murmur, all you have to do is pass a wit check and you activate it. Dominator, early Dominator always has effect. So this is a very strong inherit for debuffers on medium tracks. Like, and the fact that you can basically guarantee a Murmur proc. Obviously, maybe it activates like in the last 5% and nothing happens, but it just ups the consistency of debuffers. That's the main use of Gold Chip. But yeah, so it can activate a skill that you can't, that you otherwise could not, like distance or strategy. So like you can proc a Murmur in long tracks, for example. I think skills also can't re-trigger unless they have a cooldown. So you can't. I don't know if you can actually proc double Murmur. I'd have to double check. But yeah, it also like activate skills where the timing is like too hard. Like for example, opening Gambit activates in the opening leg for acceleration decrease. You can try to activate it during the late race. Activate skills that have difficult to meet conditions, and then activate skills that has like conflicting conditions. As an ace, she's just way too gambly, right? Because you want to buy a lot of gold skills, and at that point you can't really condition like what gold skills you're proccing. Like if you're running a long track and you need a recovery skill, it might just accidentally reactivate that. Or not reactivate that, but like it's just hard if you have more than 2 gold skills to activate the ones you actually want to activate. Like especially if you're like if you have something like No Stopping Me, because you want to like run her on longs, for example, you could just activate No Stopping Me too early. I think she's just too unstable, but she is a good parent. Inherit. She's also really good for team trials, obviously, because you activate a gold. Intrinsic experience, late race or long track during the final corner, and then elation is a medium track. Weird that it's like a long and a medium, but when you have something that activates your gold skills, it's fine. Yeah, or you can upgrade it to a long track. You can upgrade elation to a long track and just do double long Evas. But yeah, most of the time it's like you can do backup triggers for recoveries, speed debuffs on other distances, and just like be able to bypass hard conditions to pass. And like the more gold skills you grab, the less of the chance that it can realistically proc. Yeah, most of the time it's just like consistency for debuffers and consistency for stadium stuff. I don't think I've like it's just way too gambling or just way too unstable as an actual ace to trigger 2 golds. Like it's a funny gimmick or whatever, but I think most of the times people just inherit it if they want more consistency. I'm pretty sure it can't like you can't proc double murmur. I'm pretty sure. I think things have to have a cool. I think you can proc stuff that has like cooldowns. But I don't think like if you proc murmur, you could proc Adventures of Fire. You can proc this unique and reactivate murmur. It's more so that you have murmur, and if it doesn't activate, this can trigger and activate murmur. But I think I'd have to test that because I don't remember. No, almost nobody uses Cold Ship Summer. I can't remember if it. I don't think you can reactivate a skill you already activated. It's just more so for consistency. But yeah, mostly time people just run it on team trials. Like it's team trials meta and debuffers if you fail the debuff condition. Or yeah, actually no, that's about it. All right, Bamboo Memory can run on dirt tracks with Dirt D. She's a sprint, mile, and medium track late surger. She has 10 speed, 10 power, 10 guts. Her sorry, let me double check something. Yeah, sorry. Her unique gives acceleration. I think on the on the last leg, final corner when you're close behind somebody, and the modifier, which is the base duration and how much excel you get is based on how many umas you passed. So it goes up to 3. So it lasts 2 seconds as a base duration. Every time you overtake somebody, it increases by 1. And every time you overtake somebody, it increases the amount of excel you have by 0.1. It's not like actually that inconsistent, right? I think the issue is the duration. But yeah, every time you overtake someone, you get more acceleration and it lasts longer. It's interesting, but it's kind of a win more situation. You have to be, yeah, I mean, you have to be on a late surge or an enclosure for it to work. Also, inheriting it is not that great. I guess it's still 0.2, right? But you don't get the special scaling on the duration. Which is what you need to continue to pass people. Otherwise, you're stuck trying to pass 3 people in the span of like 2 seconds, which is very unrealistic. Whereas when you get the special scaling, you know, every time you pass somebody, you get like a second or 2 extra. Rising Dragon, I think her golds are like meant to try to utilize her unique. They're both final corner speed skills, which is for miles usually. Just because you're trying to hit that carryover into your unique and just, you know, going down the scaling. But if you hit speed carryover, then you miss out on your unique like scaling because it only tracks how many umas you passed after the last leg started. But like you don't want Rising Dragon to you want Rising Dragon to activate for speed carryover. So you would have to activate Rising Dragon, not pass anybody, enter the final leg, and then start passing people. Unstoppable Force is another final corner skill. And then, like, obviously, if these activate after the final leg started, then they're just useless. It's just gambling. It's gambling and a win more type of deal, right? Like, you need to pass people as soon as the late race starts, and both your golds need to activate prior, but you also can't pass anybody prior, or else you lose access to this. Like, it's really weird. Her evolutions do make it a lot more consistent, right? You can get acceleration, so you can get acceleration instead if you activate it too late. Same thing with Rising Dragon, or you can just get instantaneous current speed to always have it be effective. So evolutions like make her skill set a little bit more consistent, but on release, without the evolutions, like the stars need to align for Bamboo Memory, because you need to activate both of your speed carryover skills, but not pass too many people that you lose your unique. And at that point, like, you're kind of already winning. But there's like a dream, where if all that fulfills, you kind of just fly. But I think you have to wait for these evos for it to be like a more consistent strategy. But yeah, she's usually just a mile runner. I mean, you can make her work on mediums, but I don't think. I think the idea behind her was supposed to be a mile runner who like overtakes people. And the other issue is like if you don't buy these gold skills and like go for speed carryover, a lot of like the pace chasers that like we went over today were attempting to do speed carryovers. So if you are not running these, then you lose access to people to pass. Like it's just a rough kit. All right, we got two more to go. This is taking a lot longer than I thought. Okay, we have Kopeni Riki, who is a dirt runner. She's a dirt sprint, mile, medium runner, front runner, or pace chaser. Her unique gives you speed and acceleration at a random point during the second half of the middle leg, scaling based on how many greens you activated. So, I call her vegan. She just wants as many greens as possible. The maximum modifier that you can get is, I think, with 5 green skills, I believe. I think it's 5 green skills. Which is actually, I mean, 5 green skills isn't like the worst to go for, but the fact that you have to, grab a new one for every CM is kind of awkward. I know people are already struggling with like 3 greens for groundworks. Getting all 5 is a little rough. But that increases her target speed to 0.4 and then an acceleration to 0.15. And then it's guaranteed to activate, right? As long as you have 5 green skills. That's where the sweep green comes in, true. But yeah, honestly, I mean, obviously you want to get 5, right? She already comes with 1 with Pace Chaser Savvy. She has another one on dirt tracks. She has another one on essentially dirt tracks. So actually, realistically, you only need 2 greens. It's actually not that hard to build. You just need 2 greens. The main thing is that she gets access to a dirt-specific mid-race skill that gives you mid-race on the... Yeah, that just gives you mid-race on dirt tracks. She's kind of just the meta on dirt. Actually, I think you need to activate 6 green skills. I think 6... Is it 6? It's 5 or 6. I can't remember. I don't build Ricky, because I build Haru. I also never owned Ricky. But yeah, she's generally like just extremely strong. And then her evolutions just increase her stat gains. I think it's 6 greens. But I do think people run her as front runner. I think like the sweaty option for her is to run her as front runner, which means you lose access to leader's tricks, and then you need to get groundworks, distance S, yada yada yada. But I don't know how you're beating a Uma that has hybrid ult that does 0.4 target speed increase as a front runner, and like acceleration if it activates for carryover as a front runner. But yeah, I think, I mean, it depends on the meta. Like maybe pace chasers are just stronger. But obviously, if you have these 5 or 6 greens, I think it's 6 green skills. I'm just gonna say 6 green skills. If you have these 6 green skills, you should try to build her as a front runner instead and just grab groundworks. But there might be like a dirt track that she's stronger on pace chaser. It's just like 0.4 target speeding, or yeah, 0.4 target speed increase as a front runner is just really hard to beat. Like you're going to be able to be first. Unless somebody's insane enough to train a runaway on dirt. To try to block you, but I think you're fine, because if it activates, she releases for, not this one, she releases for the medium track. Like this is the track that she should be able to run down, but I think it's just hard to build a Ricky, right? You need 6 screen skills. Hypothetically, you would want to build her as a front runner. But this is the dirt Uma. It's just you need to sweat out. You need to sweat out the greens. The vegan. And I don't think you can put it on turf. Like you have to raise all the turf. You lose access to all of your dirt skill, like all your dirt skills. But she is most likely just a front runner. She also comes with 20% wit. Like, I don't know. I think front runner is just a better build for her because she just comes with all of the, like, she comes with guaranteed groundworks, dirt. Well, not guaranteed groundworks, but she comes with the, if you're going for 6 screens, like you're gonna have the triggers for groundworks. All right, enough about Ricky. I have her highlighted, but like there's like one dirt race a year. I don't think it's worth going. Like it's never gonna pay it back. But if you like Ricky or you like winning, you can always grab her. All right, Smart Falcon Dirt is a dirt runner. Her name is not Smart Falcon Dirt. Smart Falcon Grand Live is a dirt runner, dirt front runner. She has 10% speed, 10% guts. She has a unique skill that is very similar to, actually very similar to Summer Marzensky's, which is halfway through the race, your speed will increase. So at 40 to 50%, and I forgot what difference. And there's a I just closed out of it. Hold up. I'm getting tired now that we're on our last one. And I'm on Ricky. Smart Falcon. But if you're in the top 10%, and there's a distance from 40 to 50, you get that target speed increase. So it's not good for overtaking, but on dirt tracks you get a recovery skill, which I think she releases after the, no, she releases for the dirt race. So I think she's weaker than Ricky, but it saves you the trouble of having to grab the stamina recovery skill. Just keep in mind that it is a medium track, right? It is only 2,000 meters, but because it's a medium track, people can bring Dominators, people can bring Mystifying Murmurs. Though it's a little harder on dirt tracks, obviously, because like it's pretty unlikely that they get blocked for Murmurs, but maybe you would want a recovery, or a 3.5% recovery on a medium track. Her awakening skills are trending charts, which gives you target speed during the opening leg, which isn't that bad. And then she has aim for the center, which is way too inconsistent because it's any time during the late race. It's basically on your left. I think she gets something from her events that I cannot remember. She gets skill from her events that is good. But I don't know if they have it here. Skills. Position sense. She gets position sense from an event, which allows you to, not inherit that if you're trying to go for the dodging danger combo. I don't think she is. Valentine's Bourbon is going to come out. I don't think she's going to be that strong. Her uniques, she's just a dirt racer. You can trade the stam recovery or you can get stam recovery on her target speed increase during the opening race, or pure target speed increase, or she can gamble for more acceleration. There's no dirt runners really, so she's still good enough if you like Smart Falcon, go for it. Or if you want to gamble on aim for the center as a front runner. But I think realistically, this medium track, because it's a 2,000 meter medium track, is going to mainly be Christmas Ogre and Valentine's Bourbon and Summer Marzensky. We are, unless even if Evos come out, I still think those three are strong. Christmas Ogre just loses strength on tracks that aren't 2,000 to 2,200 when Evo skills come out. Anyways, I think, that's everybody. That is everybody that comes out for MANT. So I think the main thing with MANT, with all of these Umas, is that half of them are victims to how the scenario works. And they're just weaker because they can't run miles. And the main things that you want to look at is Seiyu Sky once her unique changes, Nishino Flower as a parent, King Halo Cheer maybe if you're planning on doing end closer stuff or sprints and miles. Taiki Shuttle Camping is strong. Gold Ship Summer has an interesting stuff for Team Trials and other builds. Ricky is the really strong dirt runner. That's about it. That's everyone in MANT. I will update the notes because I had it all written up when I was talking. I was reading off of my sheet, so I will import all that probably after I eat dinner. But Saiyan Sky on release is not strong. I'm pretty sure the numbers on Game Torah aren't wrong. The numbers on Game Torah are the 2nd anniversary balance patches, where it says she has 0.2 acceleration. I'm pretty sure she started with 0.1, and I'm pretty sure her unique only worked on the final straight. On release, which completely guts her kit. She is not a run. She doesn't exist. This is a terrible unique until this changes. I don't know. This one I do not know because I don't run front runners. So I'd have to double or fact check this one, which is why I say it may only work. But I'm pretty sure her initial unique was 0.1 and it got changed to 0.2 at the 2nd anniversary balance patch. I just don't remember if this one was true or not. But once this changes, then she's actually kind of good on long tracks. Otherwise, you should just go for Kitas in Black. Kitas in Black is the long front runner card. You don't know if you're shooting yourself in the foot. They're only for long tracks. So it depends on if you want to run front runners on long tracks. Both those skills are exclusively for long. Well, once Saiyan Skies gets updated, both those skills are exclusively for longs. If I had a maximum limit break Kitasen and a fine mo with yada yada carrots, should I go for Fuku speed or wait until Marzensky speed? I think I mean this is like always my advice. Like I think you should only, especially if you have Kitasen and fine mo. Like I think if you go through all of the free pulls and you got 0 copies, I don't think it's worth going for it. If you got like 1 or 2, maybe. But if you are a front runner player, like I would rather you save for Marzensky speed. Nakayama wit isn't that strong. But you would like the thing without saving for Marzensky speed is that like from Fuku to Maru is 4 months, right? Like I don't even like we barely went through like 5 months. Like you'd wait a little bit longer. I think like if you were actually to save it before Marzensky. Is it worth to max limit break Mr. CB? No, I don't think so. I think she's fine at lower limit breaks. You find it interesting that seeing the pearl is not on everyone's radar to pull because it's used on most people on sprints and miles today. Anytime it's a target speed increase skill, like they all functionally do the same thing. Like pulling a like sure, yes, right. It's a pretty easy condition to trigger because it's triumphant pulse, but I think you need to be 2 length or 2 meter or sorry. It's at the 200-meter mark. You have to be 2 lengths from first place, and then you get the triumphant pulse, which is just like, I mean, like sure, yes, like that unique is good, but pulling specifically for a late race target speed increase just isn't like worth pulling for. Like if you compare that to like having a Seiyun Sky, like you cannot run without a Saiyan Sky. Whereas like Seeking the Pearl, like yes, it's a pretty consistent late race unique. Like it might be more consistent than Triumphant Pulse on, as you said, a sprint or a mile. It's just like not worth 30,000 carats. I mean, I'll probably get to it. I'll talk about it once we get to Seeking the Pearl. It's just like, it's like I think like at least that's why I'm not putting it on my thing, because it's like sure, yes, it's better than like Ogre Cap on specific races, or it's better than Kiseki on specific races. It's just like going to pity for a parent that all that she does is gives you 0.25 target speed increase just isn't a good use of carrots. All right, I think that's gonna do it for today's stream. I hope you guys all, well, I mean, if you guys celebrate like Christmas, or if it might be already Christmas for some of you, because it is for me tomorrow. Today's Christmas Eve. So I won't be streaming tomorrow because it's the holidays for me. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys all for watching today. Have a happy holidays, and everything. I will update everything on this list. Bye bye.